Okay, so what we'll do is we're going to create a few different types of controls. Your most basic ones are just going to be, probably want to create them in the top-down view, and just go to Create, CV Curve Tool, Option Box. Probably want to use linear for anything that doesn't need to be rounded, so like your translate controls. And so if I needed to translate in just two directions, and then so I can create this really quick just by holding down X, so I can snap to the grid, and I can make it look kind of pretty even. Okay, now I've got enough in down control. And it can move, well, obviously it can move any direction we want it to move. But it's not very descriptive. It's not as descriptive as it could be yet. And so like we could say, well, is this up and down control? Is it used to move forward and backward? Is it like which axes does this control move along? And if it has a permanent axis that it always moves on, then you could assign it that color. And that would help it be even more descriptive. So to adjust the color of a control, of a NURBS curve, all you have to do is you'll hit Control A to open up your attribute editor. And then inside the Shape tab for that object, you're going to open up the Object Display section. And then inside of that, you're going to open up the Drawing Override section. And you're going to enable Drawing Overrides. And then you can set your own color. Okay, so let's say this is a up and down control, so it's Y. So we'll find the good green color. And now I've got a controller that's always green. That one's kind of hard to see, so maybe that's not the best color. Yeah, it's on recording, so you can go watch it. We can redo it after the video's done recording. So basically you need just to go over it really quick again. You just create a control with any sort of curve you want to. Then you need to go select it, and then your attribute editor, you go to the shape node, open up the object display section, then open up the drawing override subsection, enable overrides, check that box, and then you can select your own color. Okay, so now one really important step for controllers is that they need to belong to a group. So I selected the controller and press Control G to put it inside of a group. The reason we want to put a controller in a group is so that wherever the controller ends up on our character, I can move it wherever I need to while I'm animating. But if my animator needs to get the character back to a default pose, then they can select that animation control and zero its attributes out, and it's going to snap back to its parent. So the group creates the default location for your control. Okay, so we'll move that back down. If I know this is always going to be used for my up and down sort of controls, then I will go ahead and rotate. I put it in the group. I'm going to go ahead and rotate that group by 90 degrees so that the control actually points up and down. And then I would want to freeze transformations on this group so that the group itself has a 0 location that's at the origin. So you go modify, freeze transformations, and you see my channel box that rotate value that I had put in there is now gone, but my control still is pointing up and down. Okay. Now, yes. So now we could go a step further. I'm going to rename my controller to arrow underscore anim. Now I like to name my controls 2 different ways. I have controls that are intended to be used for animation. Then I have controls that are just controls, like visibility controls. All they do is allow the animator to see or not see other controls. Well, those obviously they don't care about as far as animation purposes go. And so I like to label them based off of that decision. I also like to segregate them based off of that decision. And so if you have a visibility control, then it should only, or if you have a control, then you should only have attributes on there that are only for controlling the rig. If you have a control that's for animation, then it should only have attributes on there that are for animating the character, for animating the rig. And then I would label them either underscore anim or underscore control, depending on their use. That way we can add additional clarity to the character, the rig of the character. Okay, I'm going to show you guys a little trick. If you open up the hypergraph hierarchy, and you go right now, I have a group and an arrow underscore anim. I'm going to go ahead and rename this group to arrow underscore anim capital G group. Okay, and then that way I know that if I on accident end up selecting that control at some point in the future, I know what it belongs to. You can take this idea a step further and say, well, this arrow control, what is it actually going to control? Well, you don't know right now. And so you can take advantage of some of Maya's functionality, and we could rename these and include a XXX in the front. Okay, and I could do the same thing here on the anim. And then I could select these and I could go to modify, search and replace names. I can tell it to look for XXX and replace it XXX with whatever I want to. So whatever is controlling this, whatever this control is intended to be for. So I don't know why, but we'll just call it head underscore. And then I'll just say replace, and now it's been renamed to something more specific. So that can be handy when you're creating your controls library to add in those sets of strings that you can search for to replace. I'm going to undo that for now. Okay. So something else that you can do if you need